Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Ask Me Anything for the CrossFit Linchpin private track, the closed Facebook group. As always, members have submitted questions, other members upvoted them, and let's dive into the most popular ones here. Some good ones as always. I know I say that every week. I'm sorry, but they're always good, fun questions. The most popular, most upvoted one is from Eric C. Okay, Eric says, what's a CrossFit movement that is effective, however, is not part of Linchpin programming due to maybe associated risks, specific gear required, fitness level required, etc., etc. The first thing that jumped into my mind, and I rolled it around for a while just to see if something else would pop in there as well, and I would have to say it's a yoke carry. Nothing safety related at all. Yoke carries are fantastic, and yoke carries are something that if you've got a yoke, you should be carrying it. It's fantastic. It's a head to toe strength builder, but a yoke is one of those pieces of equipment that if you've got 100 people working out in their garage, I bet if 5 or 7 of them have a yoke, that's a pretty darn good percentage. And so just based upon most people's access to that piece of gear, it's a big, expensive piece of gear, takes up a lot of room. Got to have somewhere to walk it. If you're living in an apartment or a neighborhood or someplace crowded, you probably don't own a yoke that you walk around with. But a yoke, arguably, is the way that you're going to put the most loading on your body, period, end of story. You're going to be able to yoke carry more than you can deadlift, more than you can back squat. And you can deadlift and back squat more than you can snatch or clean and jerk. So the most loading you can probably put on your skeletal system and your muscles is going to come from a yoke carry. So for that reason alone, yoke carries are fantastic. I've got a yoke. It's in my garage, and I'm sad to say it has more dust and cobwebs on it than it should, because since it is a big piece of gear, unless you've got a ton of space, you kind of have to wedge it somewhere, put some other stuff under it, put some other gear on it, because it takes up a lot of room. And so then to break it out becomes a time-consuming, awkward sort of a deal. And so unfortunately, you grab it less and less, unless, again, you've got some big space. The yoke just sits there, easy to grab, ready to use. Let's go do it. And if you do, rock on. Grab that yoke, load it up, walk with it. You could put it into a workout when there's a farmer's carry for a shorter distance, with a different load. You could do that. You could do it as part of accessory work for leg and midline development. You'd be good to go. Yokes are fantastic. They're great. And if everyone in the world had one, or a ton of people had them, and they had easy access to them, they're something which would make a much more common appearance. But sadly, that's not the case. So, Eric, that's my answer, yokes. And I look forward to one day rearranging my garage or getting a bit more space so that the yoke is more easily accessible and I can pick that thing up every now and then. Because it's fun, too. Yoke carries are fun. Some of that odd object strongman stuff that, again, is not common gear that a lot of people have. If you have it, you can throw it into workouts for sure. Like we've said, if you have D-balls, sandbags, things like that, and the workout has a power clean or a clean and jerk, and you have the mobility to go overhead with a D-ball or a sandbag, absolutely grab the D-ball or the sandbag and do the movements with those things. You'll be good to go. The movement includes a front squat, and you would rather bear hug a 100-pound sandbag or a 150-pound sandbag, you won't be shortchanged. But again, those aren't, it's tough enough to get people with a barbell, a squat rack, and plenty of bumper plates and a pair of dumbbells, let alone for them to have a 70, an 80, and a 150-pound sandbag or D-ball as well. It's just how common is that gear or how not common is that gear, and that dictates to some degree what, gets programmed or not. So yeah, yokes. All right, excellent question. Next question, also a good one from Curtis. Curtis Y. what's the best way to include hypertrophy work along with linchpin programming? So, hypertrophy work, for anyone just wondering what that actually is, an oversimplification, think old school bodybuilding, right? Looking to increase the volume, the size of your muscles. It's different than strength training. Then there can be some overlap, but in general, it's a bit different than strength training. Where strength training is looking to, build your back squat, build your deadlift, like it's the actual what can you do, not so much how do you look, but what can you do. Hypertrophy in general is less concerned with the actual real-world application of those muscles and how useful are they, but more of the aesthetic, the size, the volume, and the growth associated with that. And hey, it's a wonderful free world. Do whatever you'd like to do. A lot of people love to do some hypertrophy work. So if you're looking to do that, I would say, and I've got some thoughts on this, but you would do it on the days where that similar muscle group was worked. Okay, so for example, if you're going to do something lower body intensive, okay, some hypertrophy work for the legs, I would do that on a day that we also had a below parallel or a leg heavy day on linchpin. And the reason for that, you might be like, well, why is that? That doesn't make sense. Shouldn't I work it on a day that we didn't? But if you do that, you'll basically never give those muscle groups a break. So let's say over the course of 1 week's training, we're going to go below parallel, let's say twice. Again, oversimplifications, but let's say 2 of those days of training over the course of the week are below parallel leg intensive days. Well, the other days are specifically not to give that a bit of a rest, so that when it comes around again, you're ready for it. And we didn't just slam it every single day of the week. So now, if those 2 days that were leg intensive or below parallel on linchpin, you do those workouts, and then you choose to do lower body hypertrophy work on the other days of the week, well now, when have you really given those muscle groups a rest? They kind of never got one. And so that's why I would do it on the same days that we work those particular muscle groups. And you will also see that general consensus with the accessory work that we program as well. It tends to, in general, target whatever we did that day because we have to give those areas of the body some days during the week to rest, because the rest is mission critical to your actual adaptation. I've already gotten off track. So, yes. So for hypertrophy, again, it can be different than getting fitter or looking to improve capacity. Again, they're not unrelated, but strength training and hypertrophy are not necessarily the same thing. So strength training or heavy days, for example, those are in general going to be more sets, lower rep ranges, and a heavier loading. So more sets, lower reps, heavier loading, meaning 7 sets of 1. There's 7 sets of a low number of reps, singles. 5 sets of 5, 7 sets of 2, 5 sets of 3. And due to the fact that the reps are low, the loading by its very nature is high. And on days like that, heavy days, strength days, you're going to have longer rest periods compared to hypertrophy. You're going to have probably 2 to 4 minutes rest between each one of those sets. And you're going pretty darn hard. So there's less overall volume, but there's more intensity. On hypertrophy days or hypertrophy-focused training, it would be a little bit different. So you would do fewer sets, compared to, like I said, 7 sets of 1. But on hypertrophy, you'd probably do 3 to 4 sets of whatever the movement happened to be. And whereas on strength training days or heavy days, the reps are generally low, 1s, 2s, 3s, 5s. On a hypertrophy day, you're probably going to be in the 8 to 12 reps per set range. So there's just a distinct difference between heavy days and strength days, or what you would classically do for hypertrophy training. So 3 to 4 sets of the movement that you chose, probably 8 to 12 reps per set. That's very similar to what we do in our accessory work. You're going to see 3 to 4 sets commonly and 8 to 12 reps. So there is hypertrophy work built into some of our accessory training because that's a nice variance component to what we classically do a lot of the time, which is the heavy days or the classic strength training. So between the two, we get a nice blending. And you'll see that with, Bulgarian split squats, bent over rows, strict sets of pull-ups, etc., etc. Another difference between the strength training or the heavy days, where I said you have 2 to 4 minutes rest between sets, you'll generally rest less with the hypertrophy training, maybe a minute between each one of those sets. And think, the movements that you do would be more old school bodybuilding movements. Dumbbell curls, flies, things of that nature, stuff that I grew up reading in the Joe Weider Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding, the Arnold Schwarzenegger Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. More single joint movements, targeting smaller muscle groups rather than compound movements. And again, the classic thing that I would say is, where a lot of hypertrophy work does, the body, splits the muscle groups back in like Monday and Thursdays, chest and tries, Tuesday and Fridays, back and bis, etc., etc. Just circling back to what I said at the beginning, I would layer on the training for any specific body part that you're looking to do hypertrophy training on a day that we targeted something similar with whatever the linchpin workout of the day was, so that your body does get some time to actually rest over the course of the week. So let me make sure there wasn't anything else I wanted to hit on that. No, I think that was it. Great question. Fantastic question. Okay. Ooh, this is a good one too. Question from Gabriella. Could the Leo, which is the limited equipment option, aka our dumbbell track, could the Leo be the choice of life to be incredibly fit, or is it suitable for just a phase of life? Would it be enough to be the best version of yourself? If so, what are the benefits of the full equipment instead? Great question. So, a couple parts to it. Let's take it piece by piece. Could the limited equipment option be the choice of life to be incredibly fit, or is it suitable for just a phase of life? Yes to both. Absolutely yes to both. Here's the thing. This can be very much overcomplicated in people's minds, right? So I know that life isn't always just extremes, but think about extremes, right? So here's a question. Could it be your option to be incredibly fit for life? Yeah. If you've got somebody that just is ferociously getting after it in their garage or apartment with a pair of dumbbells, and they become a beast at busters, dumbbell squat, clean thrusters, dumbbell deadlifts, single leg deadlifts, bent over rows, clean and jerks with the deadlifts, dumbbell walking lunges, dumbbell bench press, shoulder press, swings with the dumbbells, farmer's carries, the whole 9 yards. I mean, you're going to be an absolute animal. An animal, truth be told. You're going to be incredible. You will not need anything else in your entire life. Now, might you want more? Yeah, absolutely. And now her follow-on question is, or is it suitable for just a phase of life? It's also great for just a phase of life. So we had a lot of people that had access to full equipment, then COVID hit, the lockdown hit, they found themselves in their garage or their living room or whatnot with just a pair of dumbbells, and that's what they had for 3, 6, 9, or 12 months. And for their phase of life, they were all about the dumbbells. And, I mean, the private track Facebook page is literally full anytime you want to ask of success stories of people who went away from the barbell, just did the dumbbell work, came back to the barbell after 6 or 12 months and either lost nothing from the barbell or actually gained, and that blew their mind. So the dumbbells are incredibly beneficial and important. And I think an important part of that is also, while we generally program workouts based upon the dumbbell loading that most people had available to them when dumbbells made their appearance in the CrossFit Games Open, which was a pair of 50-pound dumbbells for men, a pair of 35-pound dumbbells for women. If you have access to a broader range of dumbbells, absolutely use them. I'm sorry for everyone that works in kilos, but I'm going to work in pounds here for a bit. But, if you've got a pair of 50s, I'm talking to the guys here, if you get a pair of 50s, I got a pair of 50s in the garage. I use them every now and then. I've got a pair of 35s. I absolutely grab the 35s regularly because the 50s are robust. I've got a pair of 65-pound dumbbells in the garage as well that I like for like walking lunges. You want to talk about a lower body strength building exercise. Grab a heavier pair of dumbbells. Grab a pair of 80-pound dumbbells. Order yourself a pair of 100-pound dumbbells. They make 120-pound dumbbells, 150-pound dumbbells. You start doing dumbbell squats, dumbbell power cleans, dumbbell thrusters, dumbbell lunges with a variety of loadings, you're going to be an animal. You're just not going to be shortchanged. So if you have a variety of dumbbells available to you, the world is your oyster. Absolutely enjoy. But also just one set of dumbbells will treat you very well, and we're proof positive of that. So Gabrielle also asks, if dumbbells are enough, then why even have a full equipment workout, right? Like, what's the point? What's the benefit of that? So here's the deal. While you would be one of the fittest people in the planet if all you had access to was dumbbells, because I'm sorry, most people, the average human, is not very fit. That's sadly the state of our world. So if you just poured your heart and soul into dumbbells every day, you're already in an elite segment of society, one of the top fittest in the world, just because you're doing functional movements with dumbbells. Now the question becomes, well, if I had all the gear in the world, could I be even better? The short answer is yes. Absolutely. Because having more gear would give you more options to do some more movements, and you would most likely, be able to load your body much more significantly if you did have a barbell and squat racks than if you did have even, up to a very heavy pair of dumbbells. You're probably going to most likely be able to do heavier squats, front squat, and back squat if you have a barbell accessible to you than if you have a pair of dumbbells. Meaning if you had a pair of 100-pound dumbbells and you wanted to do dumbbell squats with those things, you would have to be a grizzly bear of a human being just to get them up to the front rack position to actually squat them. So probably with heavy dumbbells, if you do have access to that, lunges are going to be your friend for sure. But yes, at a certain point, if you've got a barbell, you're going to be able to squat more. And just having access to that variance, that upper level of loading, there's a tremendous benefit to that. So absolutely having more gear will help you optimize what you do. Same with the deadlift as well, or an overhead squat. Even if you're amazingly capable with the dumbbells and you can do a really heavy single arm overhead squat, chances are you're going to be able to overhead squat more if you had access to a barbell and bumper plates and all that good stuff. So Gabrielle, to answer your question, could dumbbells serve you for a phase of your life or for just the rest of your life? Yes to both. Unquestionably, absolutely. Now, if you have access to all the gear and all the toys in the world, could you get even more out of your fitness? Yes. Yes, there's tremendous benefit to that for all the reasons that I just mentioned there as well. And you could play that same game with, what if I don't have a bike or a rower and all I have to do for the rest of my life is run short, medium, long, sprint my tail off, do 50s, 100s, 200s, 400s, 800s, miles, 5Ks of varying distances, varying intensities. Is that enough to make me fit, or do I need a bike or a rower? Well, the answer is yes, that is enough to make you fit. And if you just did all those sprint and running drills that I was mentioned religiously for the rest of your life, you would be an animal. Now, in a wonderful world, if you also had an air bike and a rower, could we do a whole bunch of lot more cool stuff with you and give you an even broader range of capacity? Yes, clearly we could. So it's kind of the same deal with dumbbells and barbells as well. We can play this game with almost any kind of piece of gear that you mentioned. So it also just depends upon where you are in life. Also, right? What does your budget allow? What does your home or garage allow you to have? What does your commute allow you to have? What does your apartment allow you to have? Can you drop weights? Can you not drop weights? Do you work out in the morning? Is there a little baby asleep? Like, a whole lot of those other factors might also influence what equipment you're going to work out with either in this phase of your life or for the rest of your life. And those are just decisions that each person has to make on their own. Okay, next question and final question, which I liked as well, is from Chris R. Chris, where are you, sir? Where are you? Stand by. Okay, here we go. Chris R. How has your programming changed over time? Whether that's an overall change in your philosophy, movements you previously programmed but don't include anymore, movements that you now program that you didn't before, methods for organizing your thoughts, etc. Huge question. So, the short, concise answer, a couple things that popped into my mind when you asked this question was just lessons learned over the course of time and observations, from, I've been doing this a long time. I've seen a lot of trends come and go. Some things are very novel and they latch on for a while. And then sometimes it takes time to realize if something actually had what was initially the perceived value. Did it actually have that true value, or did it not? Did it just become popular for whatever odd reason, and then as it turns out, it didn't quite deliver the goods, and you don't want to get stuck in that, and then therefore, not evolve. So one of the things that, if you go back into, go on the CrossFit Linchpin Instagram page and just go back years, there's posts on there, I think all the way from 2014, you will see that back in the day, I did some stuff that right now I adamantly say we're not going to do. So, for example, you'll see some days where there was heavy day, a shorter heavy day, followed by a Metcon. Anyone who follows Linchpin now knows that I'm quite adamant that that's not the way. But I know that because I actually went there, tried it, did it. It doesn't deliver the goods. That doesn't mean that it's popular and people don't like it and whatever it happens to be that just, I don't know, the whims of human desire for whatever reason. But as far as delivering the actual goods, that's not the way. And we have, again, we see this all the time in the success stories in the Private Track Facebook group of people that were lifting all the time, followed by another workout, and then it wasn't sustainable or didn't deliver the goods or the progress that they wanted, and then reduced it to, what we do here at Linchpin. We respect the heavy days. We pour our heart and souls into those heavy days. We don't muddy the waters on other days by trying to do multiple things moderately or in a mediocre fashion. We'd rather do one thing really well with a tremendous amount of virtuosity, and that pays dividends. Not avoiding all the pieces of variance that some people might not like to do, but is very beneficial. We don't care about that at Linchpin. We're going to do what's effective, not popular. And so I did that for a while, sadly. Wish I could get in a time machine and say that I never did that, but I did it for a while. That, heavy day followed by Metcon. It's not the way. It's just not the way. I don't know what else to tell you. And so now, we do what actually has been proven to work and work well, and is also sustainable. I mean, that's such a huge thing that over the years has occupied a larger and larger segment of my brain, and the philosophy is you have to be putting out workouts and rest days and modulations of intensity and loading, and you can't just hit yourself with a barbell every day. You have to have some days where there's no loading and all of this stuff, or you're not going to be doing this stuff for decades. You might survive for 1, 3, or 5 years, but you will eventually burn out, get injured, get tweaked, plateau, fizzle out. Something is going to happen. I don't have any interest in leading people down an unsustainable path. And so a lot of the evolution at Linchpin as well has been to get the absolute maximum amount of fitness possible, sustainable, long-term, high levels of fitness out of the most efficient use of your time in the gym. Period, end of story. That's what we're looking to do. And it's a constant lifelong pursuit. 100%. So, yep, the heavy day plus Metcon, don't do that anymore. Uh, but then with massage, and I've learned some stuff that works really well. That is probably also part of why people think that they're lifting less when they come over here, but yet their numbers go up, and that confuses them a little bit because we don't just have, well, we have the classic dedicated heavy days. What we also have, probably sprinkled in more than some people realize, is the heavy day at a high heart rate. That phrase that we use regularly here at Linchpin. That's something I've embraced over the years and played with and evolved to become quite effective. And that heavy day at a high heart rate, it's a great way to get people strong and fit in a sneaky manner that they may not realize. You're kind of getting in a heavy day, but it's a breather. And so we've got those in there as well. And those have evolved over the year to be more and more effective as well. Interval training. I mean, that's something that I think everybody needs more interval training in their life. Interval training stings. Again, getting back to the Linchpin motto of we do what's effective, not what's popular. If you're trying to get a whole bunch of people to show up for the 5 p.m. class, you should not program 8 by 200 meter repeats. People just don't like to do them. They just don't like to do them. I don't care. They work really, really well, and they are a critical component of fitness. Sprinting, sprint intervals, and so we mix them in there. I'm going to present you what works. If you choose not to do it, I don't know what to tell you, but I'm going to present to you what works, and the ball is now in your court. So we don't shy away from interval days for running. We don't shy away from interval days that aren't running specific. We do plenty of interval work at Linchpin that's mixed modality. Could be touching a dumbbell, a little bit of gymnastics, some sprints on the bike. You rest, 1-to-1, 1-to-2 work to rest ratio. You do it again, it could be 3 to 5 intervals of something like that. Mixed modality intervals as well. So be it sprinting or mixed modality intervals, interval training is something that has it's unavoidable how important and critical and potent and developmental it is. And there's certainly more of that in the programming now than there was when it first came on the scene and whatnot. And then lastly, I would have to say strict work. And again, effective, not popular, right? Strict handstand push-ups, strict pull-ups. We do a fair amount of strict work as well, and it's so incredibly beneficial. But again, strict work is not something that's just going to pack the classes, because more people will feel like a hero if you allow them to kip. And strict work it's tougher, it's more demanding. But, we do plenty of kipping as well. But in also working that strict base, we're again strengthening our bodies in a way that will give us a higher level of resiliency, and therefore you and I will still be having these conversations about how things are going well in 5 or 10 or 15 years, because sustainability, again, coming back to the center of it. Anybody can make a tough week of workouts. Whoop-de-doo. Big deal. But to make workouts or programming that actually keep people moving in nice, sustainable, incremental steps forward as the weeks, months, and years pass, that's been what we're all about. And that has been, just as the years go by, more and more highlighted in my mind, I should say. So that's probably it. I don't think that's that. Darn it! I forgot to call up a couple Linchpin shoutouts. Let me open the folder on my computer right now, and we'll just do a couple right off the bat. I'll just take the top 3. Don't even know what they are. Boom. Open up the first one. Entitled, Busy Mom Making It Happen. It's from Margaret. I love this program, and I love this group. Thank you very much. I am a 42-year-old mother of 3, youngest being a 2-year-old who doesn't appreciate good sleep. Oh, my heart goes out to you. Shortly after the pandemic started, I lost my job as an airline pilot, so I went to the university to study biomedical science. I'm also working 2 part-time jobs, and sometimes I am just tired. Training does help me clear my head, so I really try to do it almost every day. Today was a super tiring day, but knowing that even scaling the scales workout is cool in this group, in Linchpin in our Facebook group, I went into the garage, and after starting I felt better and finished the whole thing, and I forgot about chemistry for about 45 minutes. Thanks, Coach and Linchpin, for awesome programming. First of all, this woman is a hero. Okay, can we just say that? She's a mother of 3, was previously an airline pilot, and while being a mother of 3, goes back to university at 42 years old to study biomedical science. And then she's like, I'm tired sometimes. Of course you're tired sometimes. You're crushing life and crushing the world and doing things that are amazing. So you're phenomenal, and it warms my heart to know that our group, our community, gives a sort of support for people like this to be like, you know what? Scaling is cool. I'm not feeling it today. I'm not feeling like a warrior that I'm going to go in and hit the RX workout. I got 1,000 things on my plate. I'm going to modify some things. Fitness will be achieved. Fantastic. Absolutely awesome. All right, let's do one more here. This is from Rachel S., entitled Community Like No Other. It was a tough week. I really, really wanted to just crawl back into bed once I got my girls off to school this morning. But I showed up anyway. I don't like missing heavy days, and I ended up at 83% of my 1 rep max clean and jerk. I'll take that. Now let's tackle the rest of this Monday. I just wanted to send some love to this Linchpin group. You all are the best, most supportive CrossFit community I've been a part of, and I've been a CrossFit athlete and a coach for over a decade. That is why we do what we do. No joke. I don't want to go off on a tangent now, but Chris, you asked me the question about programming that's evolved and all that, and that is my lifelong pursuit, obsessive dedication. I truly believe it's what I'm supposed to be doing, is help everybody get on their long-term health and fitness path, their journey. But on top of that, the community, and I know I beat this dead horse every now and then, but the community that we have crafted here at Linchpin, because of people like you, allow, these last 2 women with the stories that I've shared, we've created a space that helps people get through their lives. It's an actual supportive, positive group, and you need that. Life is a team sport. Life is not an individual sport. And so to have yourself surrounded by a group of people that want the best for you, that has also in the back of my mind, as the programming is continually improving and evolving and learning, so is the focus on crafting this community and building this community to be what we all know that it is. I just want to keep this. I want to keep this forever and ever, because it is a heck of a support group, is what it is. And I see Nick's post, and on Facebook no less. I know, as crazy as that is, because Facebook can be, wow, something that nobody wants to be associated with, but somehow we have broken the mold. So we're going to keep doing that. All right, everybody. Enjoy your rest day. Keep being wonderful. Support each other. And we will talk again soon.